Welcome to Tokyosaurus. So what's up in Japan? I know I'm kind of late to the party, but I finally got the chance to catch Kimi no Na wa in the theaters, and I've got to say, it's gotta be one of the most well-executed movies I've seen in anime for a long time. And since we'll be talking about things in the movie, if you haven't watched it yet, here's your massive spoilers warning. Alright, so let's get into the good stuff. So we're gonna be talking about that scene near the end when Taki and Mitsuha tried to write each other's name on each other's hands. We later realized that Taki wrote Tsukida instead of his own name, which means I like you or I love you, and Mitsuha wrote a horizontal line. Obviously, she didn't mean to write a horizontal line, she was going to write something else, but she was interrupted. So the big question is, was she going to write her own name? As Reddit user Kaneki_Ken pointed out in a Reddit post, it turns out that Mitsuha's name when spelled in hiragana starts with mi, which if written would start with a downward stroke and not a horizontal stroke. Which leads us to believe that she wasn't going to write her own name down either. She starts her stroke from left and goes to the right. And guess which hiragana also starts with a horizontal stroke? Su. The same Su in Tsukida that Taki wrote on her hand. She was also planning on telling him that she liked him. There are rumors that Shinkai confirmed this himself in a Q&A, so whether or not you want to believe this is up to you. But let's go a little deeper. Why would they both choose to write down something of emotional importance rather than each other's names? Seems more practical to do the latter, isn't it? Actually, no, and here's why. First of all, it was repeated quite a few times that in order to leave the underworld, you must leave behind what is most precious to you. At the point where they meet in real life for the first time while standing on the summit of the crater, which was technically the underworld at this point, and what was most precious to them at that point were the memories of each other. And so when Mitsuha left to save Itomori, and Taki waking up on top of the crater, that's when they both lost all memories of each other. As we've seen previously in the movie, even the stuff you've written down would disappear like in the case of the diaries on his phone, while memories would become hazy. Each of them would not remember what they did in detail, and all their memories would become dreamlike. But one thing that seemed to be able to transcend all of those restrictions was a simple feeling. And that feeling was described many times throughout the movie as a sensation of losing something that lingers for a long time after they wake up. They are always searching for something, for someone. This was mentioned in the opening sequence once, and once at the end after they grew up if I'm not mistaken. This means that all their memories can be erased completely, but the feelings that you have towards the other person will never completely depart your soul. They both realized that subconsciously or consciously at that point, and decided to send the message with the greatest emotional impact, which in this case was to confess to the other person. So that by chance, if they were to ever meet again in the future, they would recognize that feeling even if they don't know the other's name, they'll still know that they finally found the person they were looking for. I think why this movie was able to connect so well with the audience is that we've all experienced that time when we met somebody or saw somebody for the first time and you were completely inexplicably drawn to that person without reason. I mean, you haven't even met the person, but for some reason you're just enthralled with that person. More so to happen when you're in your teenager years. But this movie plays out a scenario where that feeling is completely justified. And was probably a fantasy for many of us that thought there just has to be a reason for why I'm feeling so connected to this person even before actually forming a real connection with that person. Shinkai must have gone through some serious heartbreak back when he was a teenager to be able to flesh it out so perfectly in this medium, but I'll leave that up to your imagination. Anyways, what did you think of this tidbit about your name / Kimi no Na wa? As usual, let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up the video if you liked it, and don't forget to follow Tokyosaurus on social media for Japanese culture tweets and video updates. And subscribe to Tokyosaurus if you haven't already for the latest things people are talking about in Japan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.